Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Shoulders Up podcast. I'm Dr. Jimmy Pang, and in this pod, we break down complex headaches and dizziness disorders. So, really excited for this episode today. We're going to be taking a bit of a tangent, and today's topic is really going to be about product development. So, today I have Dr. Nicole Fellows and Sarah Ali on the pod, and they are the inventors of adjustable walker weights, now sold by Safety Mate. So, I'm really excited to have them on. Have them kind of talk about the process for inventing a product, getting a product to market, and then also showing how we can use their product in clinical practice. So, Dr. Nicole Fellows and Sarah Lee are a PT-OT duo, respectively, with over 18 years of combined experience. They both have international experience as well, with Nicole studying international healthcare systems in Luxembourg and participating in medical missions to Guatemala, while Sarah has also worked as an OT in Nicaragua and in an orphanage in Guatemala. So, they are co-owners and founders of the adjustable walker weights, now sold by Safety Mate. These are adjustable weights that clamp onto walkers, rollators, and canes to improve mobility and decrease fall risks. So they can be used by therapists as well as purchased directly by a user or caregiver. So really excited to have them on. Some of you may not know this, but I'm also an inventor. I have a patent pending invention out there and still very early in development and is nowhere near ready for market. So when I heard that Nicole and Sarah wanted to be on my pod, I was really excited, really wanted to get them on so that I could pick their brains, especially in regards to patenting. So without further ado, Dr. Nicole Fellows and Sarah, how are you guys today?
We're good. Thanks for having us on. We're excited to be able to kind of share our experience and let you pick our brain, but also kind of hopefully encourage other therapists out there to step outside the box and jump on your ideas if you have them.
Amazing. So let's just dive right in. So, I touched on it briefly, but can you guys tell the audience a little bit more about your product? What does it do? And how can people use it in clinical practice?
Sure. So the weights, like Jimmy had mentioned, they range from 1 to 3 pounds, and they can adjust to walkers, canes, rollators, whatever assistive device someone is using. And it's primarily used in neuro rehab. So strokes, brain injuries, cerebral palsy, ataxia is a huge one. People living with like cerebellar dysfunction or vestibular dysfunction, just to improve that proprioceptive feedback and increase the neurofeedback someone's getting when they're using a device. There's a big push to make devices lighter, but someone who needs that stability and neurofeedback and source of like proprioceptive feedback to improve their balance. So that's why we're using this external source of weights on the walker. So it's similar to what we learn in school about weighting a device with ankle weights and things like that, but the ankle weights will slide around and they're not stable, and also aesthetically, hard for someone to use. We first invented them based on a gentleman who was in his 50s who needed to discharge back to his group home fully at the supervision level. He had drug-induced ataxia from long-term use of psychotropic medications. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that got him to the point of not needing physical hands-on assistance was to have ankle weights on his walker. So we knew that we needed to come up with something to provide consistent stability that didn't slide if someone lost their balance, and that could be customizable to each person. So we have started our hunt and we went out and we searched, and there was nothing on the market. So we knew that that was our opportunity to invent it. We felt it was important to have adjustable devices, as not everyone would need the same amount of input, but also to be able to place anywhere on the walker. So if someone is retropulsive, you'd want to place them on the front of the walker. Or if someone has, a midline shift after a stroke, you'd want to place it on one side to get them to cross midline to be able to take the steps. Or if they're neglecting their left side, you'd place them on the left side to kind of give that external proprioceptive feedback. Or a lot of times if someone just has overall like vestibular dysfunction or ataxia or just the loss of coordination and for whatever reason, just putting them like one on each side of the walker just to make it more stable and just to give that more grounding feedback to be able to rely on the device. And so we've seen great benefit in kids all the way up to the geriatric population in all different.
Really, really cool stuff. So some PTs who are listening to this, or OTs as well, they probably have some alarm bells going off because, I'm sure a lot of us use that strategy where we use ankle weights or cuff weights and put them on the walker for increased proprioceptive feedback. But we know that's not a perfect solution, right? It's really kind of jerry-rigged and improvised. So just having a formal piece of equipment developed for that very specific purpose. And it sounds very versatile, and it can also be adjusted. I'm sure it can make all the difference for our therapists and as well as their patients. So kind of moving on. So creating a product is definitely not an easy feat. So can you guys tell us a little more about what that process was like, all the way from idea conception all the way through patenting?
Yeah, I can take this one. So, as Sarah alluded to in the beginning, it was an idea. And I would say the biggest thing is making sure that that idea or whatever the thought is solving for a problem that you believe you need to solve for. So there was a gap. We needed a solution. We couldn't even get this gentleman home safely because there wasn't a product. So that for us was like, we do this all the time. We have to do this. So there was a solution space. And from there, we had to then protect our idea. So we did some research, we did some calls, we met with a patent attorney, and we initially went in with, notepads and pens. We had no idea what we were doing, but we sat down to talk through our idea. And so the attorney helped guide us on how to first come up with a protected prototype to then submit for the patent office. And so we followed his kind of guidance over the next 6 months to a year. We were able to get in with a manufacturer who was willing to help us design and test a prototype. There were a couple rounds of, needing to tweak and modify certain things. And I would say by the end of the first year, we had a product that we felt really comfortable with, that we were then able to submit in full sketch to the patent office, and then order an amount of them to start testing, concept on. So from there, we had some product, we were patent pending, and Sarah and I both dropped down from full-time to part-time. And then on our days off, we went door to door to door to door around Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. We would just drive to clinics. We would do lunch and learns in services, getting therapist feedback, using them on patients. And we started to see a trend where every single clinic we were at and gym was like, I wish I would have invented these. We do this all the time. And the feedback was amazing. The patient response was amazing. And we started to gain more confidence. We were testing the concept more and more, even just seeing the tug score differences and standardized outcomes change pretty instantly. And then from there, we started to have the confidence to go to some trade shows. So we went to the Abilities Expo in Houston, which was a great experience. And we also went to MedTrade as a new exhibitor. At our time at MedTrade, we were contacted by Drive to come pitch at their global office. And this was right before COVID. So we had a Shark Tank-like experience that was quickly changed because of COVID, and we were no longer able to go door to door to continue to sell. So like everything, we shifted to online, and we put some effort into just seeing if we could drive website traffic through word of mouth prior sales and SEO. And that kind of stayed stable over the, couple years it took to get the fully issued patent. We just continued to go to as many trade shows as we could. Minimal marketing on our end. Most of our, sales and success has been just word of mouth, therapy contacts. And then we, connected with a larger company and now have a licensing deal. It's been over 5 years of hard work and a lot of doubt, which we can go more into. But, I would say if there's a gap you identify, you start there and you protect your idea as step one, and then you kind of test your concept from there.
Yeah, I love what you said because, first of all, you were using these kind of treatment techniques for a long time, and then you saw an opportunity. And then the first step is that you guys kind of took this opportunity. You saw that there was a missing product in the market. And then going beyond that, once you had created the product, it sounds like you guys also went on to create your own opportunities, right? Going door to door, reaching out for lunch and learns, reaching out for in-services. I think the problems that a lot of PTs who do want to get into entrepreneurship, or therapists who do want to go off on their own, is they aren't used to taking initiative like that. They kind of, put up a website and then they kind of just wait, hoping things that will happen. You said minimal marketing effort, but I actually think you guys marketed a lot. Door-to-door sales, door-to-door meeting with different providers and services. That's definitely a form of marketing. But 5 years of grueling hard work, yeah, I can imagine how there's a lot of doubt there as well. So we kind of talked through some of the challenges just now. So I just want to ask, what do you think were some things that went, surprisingly smoothly?
I think the thing that was probably the most successful, that was one of the most nerve-wracking, is just getting in front of different universities, different clinics. And whenever we went to do an in-service, we 100% of the time had a sale. So while that manpower-wise, as a two-person team, isn't sustainable for the long run, we felt like that was a successful way to test the market and start. I think the biggest thing is that we just never gave up. A lot of hurdles along the way. We started like flipping through a phone book looking for patent attorneys and things like that. And so we happened to like fall into, after a million calls, an attorney that was really great and worked with us and really guided us. Because like you said, like we were just, at that time, we were just therapists. We had never done the business, the financial, the engineer, the design. We had to kind of put on so many different hats, but we worked really well as a team, and we were just never afraid. I mean, we were cold calling like the biggest clinics, the top neuro rehab centers in the country. And I would say that we were shocked that it really did work. Like we just put ourselves out there, and we would sit on our Mondays that we had off and just tried so many different techniques. We found out quickly things that didn't work, like mailers and stuff like that, and other things that did work. I think we realized quickly, like after COVID, that really focusing on, like Nicole mentioned, the SEO and like the digital marketing was kind of our best avenue. And I think we're lucky now, in, pros and cons of the social media world and the influencer world and things like that, that we do have that digital platform kind of at our fingertips. And so that has helped us grow immensely. But I also think that, as successful as now that we've been, and we've, stuck it out, there have been a lot of hurdles, especially as like two relatively young female therapists calling these engineers and designers and trying to be taken seriously. But we really just, kind of never gave up, and we worked really hard to make sure that we protected ourselves with like NDA agreements and things like that, because even if you have a patent, these bigger companies know that you don't have like the necessary resources to fight them. So we really worked really hard to protect ourselves from the very beginning, especially, having to work full time and the kind of the financial hurdles and stuff like that. But I think we found at each place we went, whether it was a trade show or at a big, rehab center, people got it and therapists get it. And if you're, coming up with a product that's going to help other therapists, like, we'll support each other. So we found that the response was so positive every time.
Amazing. And so for the digital marketing, the SEO and the social media, I imagine in the beginning you were probably doing that yourself as well, or did you guys hire a marketing agency?
Yeah, we were doing it. Everything we've done has kind of been ourselves, because again, we like each have two little kids. We work full time, and obviously the financial resources are limited. My sister works in marketing, so she helped us kind of to train us on what to do, like SEO wise, and like blog development and things that we, again, like we went to school to be therapists, right? Like we don't have the marketing skill, whatever, but we've learned so much, and that's kind of tapping into the resources around you. And people, I think what you also know is like people around you are excited for you, right? So people, were happy to kind of give us little tidbits, but we knew that our ultimate goal, even though we never want to fully give this up, we knew that we wanted to be able to join with a larger company for exactly that reason, to have like a full marketing team and all that to really bring it to the global scale.
I see. Part of the reason I wanted to have you guys on the show is that I really wanted to show other therapists who listen to this that therapists, we really do have a lot more to offer people than just therapy. I think there are actually a lot of different avenues that people can take, not just product invention. So what are your thoughts on that? What do you think are some mindset shifts that people are thinking about expanding into something else, but have their doubts?
Yeah. So I am not clinical. I haven't been clinical in 4 years, and I work in digital health in the clinical excellence sector. So I can speak from that perspective as a clinician. There's others who come from different backgrounds, and what we bring to the table. When I started, I didn't have a lot of confidence when I was speaking to product managers, engineers, designers, but really we have so much knowledge, just the ability to think critically in a different way than, non-clinicians, I would say, and also be creative. Therapists just have a natural tendency to be creative, think of a different way to do it, or a different way to explain something. And so I think that there's so much room for therapists to join all these different fields and careers if you don't want to be clinical forever, or even a hybrid role, or use your skills differently. So one of the things I do now is advocate for just clinical excellence behind anything out there that's digital in nature that's putting forth any sort of PT exercises via AI or algorithms. But I'm using a lot of what I know from the clinic and what I learned at school. So standardized outcome, tracking MCID, how would we make something better? Are we making sure we're following the latest, CPGs? And that's just a very small example, but I think that we have so much to offer outside of and I'm not putting it down. I'm just saying, just working with people, you can do that and more, or build on what you've learned working with people. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today if we weren't in the clinic for as long as we were. We had so much great experience, so many great skills were developed, and then we were able to take those and both kind of flourish in different avenues while inventing something. So I'm all for it. I think clinicians should advocate to be in, you know, roles all over and across the board.
Yeah. So I'm sure it was a bumpy road, but I'd imagine you guys have like a whole extra set of skills now. You are obviously clinicians, you understand patent law, you also understand digital marketing. I imagine you guys probably also learned how to do bookkeeping and QuickBooks, all this stuff. So, but the thing I think I'd like to get across is, therapists, we all went to PT school, OTs as well. We all went to graduate programs, and these programs are not easy by any means. For therapists to be intimidated by wanting to expand beyond clinical care, just remember the hell you already went through, and then just know that you can do it again, for sure.
And that's what I think is the big thing, is that therapists oftentimes are leaders, they're go-getters. We have the people skills, we have the drive, like you said, to get through a program, especially like even the undergrad years with, the exposure to, it's so easy to give up, and then to willingly sign up for a doctorate program, after all you've gone through. So we know what it's like to not give up. And we also know, I think, how gratifying it is to have a positive outcome and to work towards something that we all go into it knowing we want to help someone, right? So we knew that this idea could help more people, and we're like self-starters and motivated. And I think that goes for a lot of therapists. Like, you have the skills to do it, and yet we might as well, use those.
Yeah. Just dive right in, progress over perfection, right? I think that's really important. That's also what got me through PT school. For all my listeners, B's get degrees. So wrapping up here. So where can people find you or your product, and how can all of us help you to bring your walker weights to more practitioners?
Yeah, sure. So we obviously would be happy to answer anyone's questions. You can reach out to us like on our Instagram, or happy to share our personal emails. But the biggest thing is, like we had said in the beginning, we just partnered with a company called Safety Mate. They're most well known for their anti-rollback and anti-tipper devices on wheelchairs and whatnot that are used kind of across the country and internationally. And so their website is safetymate.com, SAFETMATE.com. So you can order directly through the website. And also our Instagram is still under our kind of original company name, is Folly Rehab. FALI Rehab. And so there's, some tutorials on there. There's different videos of kind of patients using them. And then there's also on YouTube instructional video under Folly Rehab Walker Weights on just how to use the weights and kind of the benefit and what populations can benefit or not. But our original website, follyrehab.com, is now directed to Safety Mate. So those of you who had seen our website in the past, everything is kind of funneled now through Safety Mate with our new partnership.
Cool. All right. So I'll be sure to include all of that information in the show notes. If you're a therapist listening to this and you think your practice, especially for those of you in neuro rehab, and you think your practice could really benefit from these walker weights, definitely check out the website. Reach out to Sarah and Nicole if you have any questions, and let's help support our fellow therapists. And if you enjoyed listening to this podcast today, please consider leaving a 5-star rating. And thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah and Nicole.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.